This movie said a lot about society. Boy, oh boy, am I excited to talk about this someday. Now, I'm going to put the disclaimer now. I don't know anything. I don't know anything about Transformers lore or all that nerdy stuff. So, if you want to at me, go ahead, fine. I don't know anything. But from what I know about this movie and what I've looked up is there's this kind of its own thing, and it's just taking inspirations from different types of Transformer origins, because this is an origin movie of Transformers. If you didn't know that, then where have you been? It's Transformers 1. It was the first one, right? That's where it's going with. So with that said, let's get into this movie, because I had some pretty high hopes for this movie. I heard some good people talking about it. People already saw it early. I didn't get to see it early, but finally did see it. And I say I was just so happy to come home and talk about it. So like I said, don't know much about Transformers. My knowledge is maybe like 1 point higher than the average viewer. The only thing I can tell you is that according to this flow chart right here, Transformers is a gift from God. That's all I can tell you. Anyways, so let's get into it. Also, I want to point out that Hasbro, they had a nice little opening credit thing, for their Hasbro verse, and they included Tiamat in there. And I thought that was like, okay, I see what you're doing, Hasbro, and I see you is what I'm saying. Anyway, so Transformers 1. This movie, I will admit, in the beginning, in the first like 10, 20 minutes, I personally, for me, come at me, right? I thought it was a little kind of slow, but but once you get to the drop, it drops, and it's like, and then we go back up, right? It's roller coaster there, because there was some like setup of kind of like the world, you have Cybertron, right? They're giving you the lore drop, which I'm the nerd in me's like, yes, I love lore drops, For average viewers, you're like, oh, I don't care that, Primus, he sacrificed himself for the greater good and birthed Cybertron, whatever. So whatever. But it's cool. It's cool to learn that lore stuff. So you get the lore because Optimus Prime is trying to go through archives to find out where the Matrix is, which is like, this contraption that like gives energon to the planet and makes everybody prosper and all that kind of stuff, all that boring lore stuff, which I like. Anyways, and so you find out that, okay, Optimus Prime, he's kind of like the troublemaker. Well, Orion Pax is the original name, So if you want to go deep into more lore, Orion Pax was his like actual name, and then we have his homie Megatron. Who Megatron, Meg, right? Megatron is actually like D16 is like first names right there. So that's the lore. They're friends, they're homies, they work in the mines together to mine this energon. So you kind of learn that because they don't have this matrix, it was lost, the primes of the old age died, and it was lost to time. And so, he who finds the matrix, controls the Cybertron or whatever. But they can't find it, so they have to mine for this energon to keep society running, and they're ruled by the leader Sentinel, who was like, he helped the primes, and but they fell into battle, and so he was like the last left, there's that, right? So main characters you have, for the sake of the rest of the movie, we got Optimus Prime and Meg here. So Megatron, Prime, D16, Orion Pax, all the same names. Okay, so you learn that they're working in the mines together. They're homies, So the opposing views is Optimus. He is just he's a go-getter. He's like, I want to go take life by the hand. I'm tired of like mining all day. I don't want to be mining anymore. I want what's better out there. There's something more out there in this world for me, than just mining all day. And Megatron, D16, he's all like, well, let's just stick. Life is simple, man. We work in the mines. We enjoy the drinks afterwards. Why we gotta complicate things, man? I just want to do my time and that's it. But like those opposing views, you sometimes, I'm sure everyone has homies like that who are, one wants to go on the adventure, other wants to stay home. There's nothing wrong with necessarily having both of those, but I think that's what kind of complements their friendship, is that one's a little more headstrong, the other one's a little more like laid back, you know what I mean? So anyways, but they're working in the mines. It's like getting dangerous. I mean, you got Alita here, she's like leading the mines, and then Jazz, I don't know any of these transfers names. Jazz I'm kind of familiar with. They get trapped in the mine. Optimus is like, I want to save them, but like protocol says we have to abandon people, right? So but the Optimus wants to save them because like he's all about going against protocol, because he just wants to do the right thing. And that's one thing I love about Orion's character, is that he wants to do the right thing. Even if it means going against the code of the societal rules or whatever, he wants to just do the right thing. And then we got, like I said, we have D16 Meg just like, let's just follow the rules, you know. Anyways, so but after all that, you know, what's her face gets fired, she's mad at him, that becomes important later. But then anyway, Sentinel comes down, you know, they're all like, oh, Sentinel's making an announcement, you know, what if, like, what's this all about, you know? And then he's all like, we haven't found the Matrix ever, because that's his whole thing. They're going to the surface world because everyone lives at the near the core of Cybertron. He's like, we're in the surface world trying to find the Matrix, we can't find it, but tomorrow, Taco Tuesday, basically, he's all like, you know what, we haven't found it yet, but we're holding a ceremony, a race, you know, to just like, you know, let's all celebrate. Which honestly, in this moment, Sentinel, something fishy about him. There is something fishy about him. We'll get to that later. But he's like, you know what, Taco Tuesday, we're throwing a pizza party, you don't have to work in the mines tomorrow. And then that's when Orion's like, we'll let's go doing the race. And he's like, well, we can't do the race because like we don't have a we don't have our cube, our spark, you know, our cog to like make us transform, because, you know, Transformers, they need their inner spark to transform, and we don't have that. You know, they're like the drone worker class people who like, they don't have that, you know. And then you have the uppers, I guess, who like, you know, like Sentinel and stuff, who like they can transform. We don't have that, you know. So what are us measly like worker miners gonna be doing in this race? We can't transform into vehicles or whatever. So, you know, Prime is like, you know, maybe you're right, D16, maybe you're right, Meg, like we can't, well, I was foolish, you know. So with that said, let's just go watch the race. They go watch the race. Turns out Paxton pulled a fast one and was like, actually, we are in the race. Gotcha. They're in the race, you know, and he's like, you're crazy, you know. But this is where it's like, okay, the voice of they're the voice of the people. It's like, wow, they're in the race, you know. Oh my gosh, all the miners watching the race are like, that's us, that's our people, that's Orion, that's D16 down there, yeah, you know. And that's the first time in history this has happened. Everyone's like, wow, the people are like getting all riled up. They're all like, yeah, if they can do it, we can do it too, you know. Forget all these higher ups, you know, they don't care anything about us. Power to the people, you know, let's bring it back. So yeah, they practically almost win the race, but you know, they don't, because, you know, they don't get their victory just yet, you know. We're only like 15 minutes in the movie, you know. They lose the race, but they got close, and it inspired hope in people. So much hope that like all the workers are like, man, we're motivated. Let's work, like if we work hard enough, we can be who we want to be. But they forgot one thing, the system. So that's when Sentinel comes down. It's like, hey, you guys did pretty awesome. And this is where like D16 and Orion, they're like, you know what, like the opposing views. He's like, hey, D16's like, man, you should just let me stay home. I should have just stayed home. Like, and why'd you bring me into this, you know? Ryan's like, look, I just wanted like us to do something out there. I'm tired of just digging in the mines all day. And, you know, these things like, I just wanted to stay home. Why do you always gotta drag me into this stuff? But then he sees like Sentinel, and he like really idolizes Sentinel. That's like something that's important. D16, Megatron really idolizes Sentinel, you know? Like I said, that becomes important later. And then he realizes Sentinel gives him some praise. Like, wow, like, you know, you're doing really cool. You're doing great things. You know, awesome, right? How about like as a reward, you can go to my like recovery station, get my best rehab, cure your injuries. But then tomorrow, I need you to like go down to the mines, talk to people, let them know that like they can do what they want. Cause like they notice, since the miners being in the race, productivity's gone up. And it's like, wow, this is when you're starting to see like the cracks in the system. Productivity's up. It's kind of sus. Like Sentinel's like, we want those numbers to keep going up. Why don't you talk to the people? Let them know that they can just, you know, they can work. If they can work harder, they can achieve anything. That's where we get the kind of susness there. Sentinel, I'm on to you, right? But then what's his face? Darkwing Duck's all like, no, I'm mad at you because you ruined the race for me. So I'm be like we're putting you down to the sub level 50, you know? It's like, wait a minute, we're supposed to be like heroes now, you know? No, you're going down to sub level 50. No one cares what happened to you. You are scum, you are trash, back down to the gallows to you. So that's when they meet Bumblebee. You know, voiced by our man Toad. Also, they make an AA-tron joke. Great. Anyways, so you meet B, and I think it's funny that they chose Keegan to voice B, and they gave him such a talkative personality, knowing that like in later adaptations, Bumblebee doesn't really have a voice, you know. So we better enjoy it while we can. So while they're down there, they're going through junk, and that's when they learn that there's been a piece of information that could help them find where the primes died and like the Matrix could have been left. So it's like, why don't we go to the surface and try to get it? Once again, D16's all like, no, I don't want to. That's like, we already got enough trouble as is. Why get in any more trouble? And then he's like, well, think about how Sentinel would feel whenever you go up to the surface and retrieve this thing. He's gonna be so happy with you, with us, you know. And he's like, okay, maybe you have a point. This guy idolized Sentinel. You know, this man was like your regular like blue collar man. I'm just going to work, getting a beer afterwards. I pay my taxes, whatever. Like I don't know, like whatever. He was just the average common man. I'm just so blinded by the outside, just kind of blissfully just going along with the flow, you know. Let's not mess up my world too much, you know. I like it simple. I like following the protocol. I'm a man of order, you know. I like that. And honestly, at the end of the day, there's not necessarily anything wrong with both of their viewpoints. For some people, they want to just go with the flow. They want to just clock in, clock out. That's what D16 represents. That's what Megatron represents. I just want to go with the flow. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to make any waves. Some people want that simple life. But then you have people like Prime, who's all like, you know what? There's something more out there for me, you know? And I just want to see what's out there. And that's also not a bad thing either. I know many people in life who have both those views. Now, those views aren't necessarily bad, but what can be bad is if you don't ever stop to think for yourself just one bit. We'll get to that in a minute. Why both of these viewpoints would be slightly challenged, you know, in the coming minutes to follow this movie. So their plan is they sneak up on a train to get to the surface. That's when Alita stops them, you know, and she tries to get the train back in order, but train crashes. They're stuck on the surface. So, you know what? With nothing left to do, they're like, we're going to just figure this out. But if it doesn't work out, Alita's like, I'm pretty much like turning you guys in. It's like, okay, cool. Right. So we finally get to the point where the primes took their last stand. And that's when, you know, we learn that one of the primes, Alpha Trion, you know, voiced by the man himself, Morbius, you know, he's still somewhat alive. They feed him a little bit of Energon. His spark comes aboard, and that's where like, we're here to help you. You know, it's all fine. You know, he gets his war flashback. We're all good. We're all good. We're all good. But that's when you learn, he's like, hey, we're here to help you. You know, the war's over. Sentinel like saved everybody. You know, he stopped it. But then are like, no. That's when we learned that Sentinel was an ops. He was like, Sentinel betrayed us. And they're like, wait, what? Back it up. Whoa. And that's when he gives us the lore drop. And I was like, I knew it. I saw it coming. Sentinel was sus. John Hamm, I'm sorry. You were tripping the whole time. So you learn that Sentinel betrayed the primes, you know, just so he can get in cahoots with the quintessence. I can't even pronounce that right, but the Quinnies or whatever. But I've actually been working with them. I betrayed them so I can live like a king while I exploit everybody. So yeah, the whole system's been rigged. It's been rigged from the start, you know. I exploit the people, suck all the energon, strip the planet from it, give it to our enemies so I can just live all happy dappy because I hated how the primes ran everything. So in the beginning, I was like, I knew that there was something sus. The minute he was all like, instead of rewarding Orion and D16 for their, you know, hyping the people up, he's like, I actually want you to go down there and make them work harder. I need them to work harder. They need to work harder. And that's when we see, that was right there. That was the birth of Meg right there. We see his villain origin story right there. That was his canon event, you know. That's when it's like, he's like, Orion, why'd you have to bring me here? I could have been home just chilling after a hard day's work. And it's, you see this whole thing of like, his whole world crumbles and he's snapped. And there's like a part of him that's like, I just kind of wish I almost didn't find this information, because this man looked up to Sentinel. This robot looked up to Sentinel. He was a hero of the voice of the people. He brought peace and prosperity during times of war. But turns out he was just a puppet leader or something like that, you know? And he's just stripping everybody, you know, like this is some weird late stage capitalism communist crap. Like, I don't know. It was just, his world crumbles and you see it. And that's when he says something very drastic. You see the pieces of dominoes falling in D16's brain. He's like, I'm gonna kill Sentinel. Straight up, just like, I'm gonna kill Sentinel. And that's when I have to say, this movie got dark. Like, they were killing robots. They were, I don't know how many times they curse with Bumblebee's nicknames, like Megatron. You know, like he says kill how many times? This movie was PG. Jesus Christ. This movie went a little hard. I thought it was PG-13. This movie went a little harder than like the kids watching this movie were probably like screaming their. I was screaming my head of watching this movie. I was like, can they show that? Can they show that on live television? This movie got dark. But then again, I guess it's like robots, so not really like killing people, I guess. Anyways, so that's when they're like, okay, you guys have to go stop Sentinel, right? So that's when you learn that also that you also learn that Sentinel has been taking all the Transformers, like their little clogs, their sparks, before they're even like born into like this world. That's so messed up. Like it's almost as like you're just taking away people's rights before they're even like, you know, before they can even make anything of themselves. You know what I mean? It's like it's this movie. If you want to compare this to like but we're not getting too deep in of like society. It's like not even giving people a chance to like really shine in the world. They're just stripped of all their rights before they can make a name for themselves. They're all put in this little system before they can even decide what they want to do on their own. And if they try to like go anywhere past the system, they're punished for it. They're sent lower into the system. It is absolutely ridiculous. Anyways, that was a tangent there. Let's keep going. So at this point, Alpha Trion is like, I'm making my final stand. You guys go. Your fight will come later. So he pretty much sacrifices himself to let them go. They learn how to transform for the first time. That's pretty cool. And then again, you know, they escaped, you know, from the baddies, and then again, Meg here is like, he's getting a little, he's getting scary. He's like, I got this, Orion. Can you let me do what I came here to do? Like, can you let me do what I gotta do? Basically, it's like, okay, buddy, you're a little hostile, but fine, do what you gotta do, man. So they're walking, and Optimus is like, Orion's like, let's talk, buddy. Like, you know, once we stop Sentinel, it's all be great. And he's like, no, we need to stop him, as in like end his life. And it's like, whoa, we're talking about murder here. It's like, yeah, that's what we're gonna do. But then pop, they get trapped, and they get trapped by the Cybertron's high guard, you know, with their leader, Starscream, which I was like, oh my god, Starscream, I know that one, voiced by Steve Buscemi, which I think it was great that they picked Steve Buscemi as the the voice of Starscream, because Starscream's like a little twerp, like he's a grifter is all I gotta say. Like, Jesus, he's all like, I'm gonna just follow like the highest power, because he was all like, you know, we gotta take, because they're being a little extreme about it. They're like, because, you know, Orion's like, why don't we do this peacefully? We got all the evidence we need to take Sentinel down. Starscream's all like, no, like, you know, we want to take him out. It's like, okay, this is a little extreme here, buddy, you know. And that's when Meg over here is all like, he's trying to walk away, you know, and they're like, where you going, bro? You can't just leave my sanctum. And he goes like, I can leave wherever I want. You know why? Because I'm Megatron. He's not Megatron yet, but you know what I mean? He's becoming Megatron. You stop me? You know? He's like, I'm tired of these false idols, which is so crazy, because like slowly but surely, he becomes the very thing he hates, like just little by little, you know. And he's like, I'm tired of these false idols. I'm tired of these false prophets. Like, I'm taking Cybertron back for me, the people. Like, I'm tired of the system. The system has done nothing for me. So I'm gonna just take over this. Like, it is a little hypocritical, but also in a way, it's like there is a danger he's making. There is some sense he's kind of making. There is dangers to idolizing false prophets, false heroes, like putting your faith blindly into this like one leader. You know, being spoon-fed all these things all your life without ever really questioning it. Of course, he has this breakdown. And like, he basically, like, you know, you either die a hero live long to become the villain. And he slowly becomes the thing he hates. And it's such a tragic tale, you know. I mean, like I said, it says a lot about society. Of like, I've heard this story time and time again in the history. Like, it's crazy, you know. But so this is where we see the two paths of Optimus and Megatron. They both want to like save Cybertron, but they're going about it in different ways, and they're both very different sides of a coin, you know. So I mean, Megatron, like, you know, free Cybertron, pretty much like rule it, so with oppression, basically, you know, like free from like government rule or whatever. So like a system can never be created again to exploit people, versus Optimus is like, I want to do it peacefully, you know, the right justice way, like, so we can expose the corruption and find a way to better rise the system in a way that helps everybody. There's like, it's like they want to both free Cybertron, just in different ways. So, but they get attacked by Sentinel's crew, right? And then they get captured. Orion and Elita, they're still left, and they have to form a team. And that's when like Elita's giving Orion her speech. It's like, you have been so optimist like lately. I would say part of this movie, some of the dialogue I say was a little bit corny, but they say the reason it was corny is like it was kind of more of they're young, they're younger versions of the Transformers, so they haven't yet really gotten to that full leadership yet. There's an origin story. I can see why the dialogue was a little corny at times, but that wasn't such a big deal in the movie wise, anyways. So they get a team together, what's left of the High Guard, and we're gonna go down below, get the workers, the miners, and we're gonna like rise up, and that's when we get back to the city. Sentinel's giving the speech of like, I took the core of like, one of the most powerful primes, he stole like the core of Megatronus or whatever, and that's when like he takes this is the dope part. So like, D16's like, you know what, you don't scare me, I'm him. I am him, and starts screaming. The little torpy is like, in his squeaky little voice, and B's all like, no, don't get back, Meg, it's gonna be fine. And he's like, no, I'm standing up because I hate this dude. I hate it. I'm hating him. He ruined my life. I looked up to you. And like never meet your heroes type situation. And he takes his little decal sticker you got in the beginning of the obviously future Decepticon logo from his homie, Orion, and then like they stick it on his chest, burns the signet on him, which was like, that was so dope. That was so metal. That was pretty cool. It was pretty cool that they did that. I was like, this is a kids movie again? They're branding. I mean, the robots, I guess they can get away with that, but like I can just imagine in the during like the MPA meeting, they were like how do we rate this? It's PG. I mean, the robots is fine. Anyways, that's when Optimus comes down, goes to the people, and he like tells them like, y'all been lied to, but like it doesn't matter about the cog you're born with. It just matters about what you do with your spark. Which that's when we get the message of the entire movie. You can shine no matter what you're made of. God, that's also another good movie about oppression, and the rig system. What's up with these robot movies? They're cooking with this. Shoosh. Anyways, so they expose Sentinel, and it's a whole it becomes a whole I kidnapped 1,000 children before I let this company die, or like they had the recording, they got them on tape. Boom. But I want to point this out. This is like a real life situation. Like this happened in our real life. They expose Sentinel. I bet there'll be like one or two people like, you know what? This is fake. Boo this man. Like they would probably be like, Sentinel did anything bad. This there's no way. He's Sentinel, man. He helped us out. There would be someone out there who would do that. I already know that. Anyways, besides the point, the people rise up. Transformers rise. Autobots roll out. They're moving along. So they have the big battle, and that's when it's like it's going down for real. There's some funny things that Bumblebee does with his little hands, little couple jokes in there for the kiddos, right? And for me, I thought it was funny. But they have the fight, they expose Sentinel, and that's when Megatron's like, okay, time to kill you. I have a cannon in my hand, I'm about to blow this place up. And that's when like Orion's like, yo, buddy, we freed the people. We don't need to do this anymore, man. We can stop the fighting. And he goes like, no, it ends now. I am not letting this happen again. We're going to stop the system before it can do this again to us. And he's like, no, buddy. No, it's fine. And he goes like, get out of my way. He does it. And then this is when I kind of gasped, and the rest of the theater gasped. He shoots Optimus, and it's like, no. He like jumps out. It's like jumps out of the way. I can't let you kill Sentinel. Like he's been brought to justice. No more. We don't need any more violence. Shoots Optimus. I'm like, and it's like, and then he's like, why'd you jump in my way? Why'd you jump in my way? D16's like, brother. And it's when like he's about to fall down into like the core of the planet. D16 grabs Orion and is like, why, man? Like we were brothers, we were family, we were homies. Why? And that's when D16, you see the eye shift. He becomes Meg. He becomes Megatron. He does something that like totally shocks the whole theater, shocks me. I'm not saving you anymore, brother. Drops him. And I was like, my heart. He did that to his brother. Drops Orion down to the core. And then that's when it does like the like glorious moment of like the choir music, as Orion's falling down to his death and to the core depths of the planet, you see he's now Megatron now. He's full Megatron. He's ripping Sentinel to shreds, like two hands, like a Mortal Kombat finishing move, Goro. I'm splitting him in half. It was brutal. I was like, oh my gosh. And then he takes the core of that Sentinel stole, and he puts it in me. He's like, I'm him. I own this place. We've been freed. Let's burn it all to the ground, and we're gonna start a new empire under me, so I can make sure that like I'm gonna rule you guys, so we don't get oppressed again, like type situation. Like, it's crazy what's going down. And then as Orion falls, gets to the core of Cybertron, he meets the falling primes, and he's like, you have been deemed worthy of the Matrix, because that's like a rule, like, you know, you can only have the Matrix, because like Sentinel tried to steal the Matrix, but it didn't work because like, you know, like Prime is, you know, the deems worthy or whatever, who the you know, gets the Matrix or whatever, and he's no longer Orion, he's now Optimus Prime. So that's when he rises back up, and he's like, yo, we both got our upgrades, let's duel. They fight it out, you know, and it was one of the coolest fight scenes ever. There were references in there that I didn't even understand, and I heard the nerdy Transformer people behind me are like, oh my god, they're preying everywhere. Like, it's just, you know, Optimus Prime busts out the axe, and I was like, that kind of, you know, I've only ever seen him with a sword. I'm not that much of a nerd to know the axe part, you know, but I know it's a reference somewhere. That's about it. You know what I mean? So I was like, this is dope though. Regardless if I don't know much about the lore, I'm like, this is cool. He's fighting with an axe. It's awesome, you know. Eventually, Megatron's like, I'm pretty much defeated. Prime is like, hey, you know, man, like, you're done. Like, it's over. Like, just give up. You know, Megatron kind of admits defeat, and this is when I mean, I guess morally it depends on what your beliefs are, but like I said, Megatron and Optimus Prime had two opposing views, and like in a way they both kind of wanted to do the same thing. They kind of wanted to just free the people, but they wanted to go out in very drastic ways. Like I said, Megatron's like, I'm gonna rule this place, you know, so like there can never be a system that forces the way to oppress people, but like probably over time he would, you know, probably start oppressing people who opposed him. Like I said, he became the villain, and then Optimus was like, you know, I want to find a way to diplomatically do this with peace and prosperity or whatever. But this is where, in a way, I think Optimus was kind of flawed. He did not want to stop Megatron. He pretty much let Megatron go. And in turn, and I'm sure there were reasons why. Like, that was his brother. That was his homie. That was his friend. You know what I mean? So he let him go. Like, you know, I'll let you go in peace. That's it. Go in peace. Get out of here. But like, in turn, that just lets his enemy grow and like breed further into more disasters later on. Because obviously I know Megatron and Optimus are like, you know, they fight right later on, right? So he's letting that power grow, and so that is kind of, in a way, like, I think is a flaw in Optimus's beliefs. But obviously he does have a spot for Megatron, considering that he considered him like a brother. So like I said, two opposing views. I love the duality that you can see that even from the beginning they're challenging each other's ideas. And there's things that, like, you know what, Optimus was trying to help Megatron, like, I want you to like get out, you know, do more for yourself, think more than just like what, you know, you're being told. And over here Megatron's like, well, you know what, sometimes like, let's just kick it back. We don't always have to do anything too crazy. And they were kind of a good contrast to each other. But you know, and I think without those two opposing views working together, we can definitely see a split, and how they can both start leaning to more of one side. And I think them working as a team could have really helped Cybertron grow and prosper more, but it didn't work out that way, unfortunately. This is what ifs now, you know. That is the beauty of like working with people of opposing views. Sometimes they can make you see something that you don't always do. And then it's a tragedy what happened to those two. Oh my gosh, that story of these two brothers, like, you know, just, man, the downfall of it was like, that was hard. It was like, I got him. I was like, why am I crying in the club? I was like, Jesus, oh my gosh, it was so tragic. It was a tragic story. There were so many parts I'm like, can they do that? You know? Oh man, it was great. Anyway, Cybertron is free. Optimus Prime is the leader, you know, with his commander Alita. Bumblebee's working too. He's like, I'm so happy I'm working for the government now, and it's like, it's great. Oh my gosh! And then the movie ends, and like, you know, he opens up the Matrix, and like the power comes, like the energy comes like people. Everyone is giving the resources. Everybody's like, wow, we have what we need to do good. And like, man, it just makes you think, like, if the people were given everything, the necessities they need to live, they all can just do better in life and go reach their dreams, find ways to make society better, instead of like oppressing people to like their bare minimum, working to their bone, where like they can't even like find ways to better themselves. Like, like I said, this movie said a lot about society to me. I felt something watching this movie. Like, I got bills due tomorrow. Like, of course I want the Matrix. Jesus Christ. course I want this energon flowing through my planet to make everything better. Like, oh my gosh. Great movie. I had Transformers, one of the best movies I've seen this year, and it was animated. I invited someone to see this, and they're like, "Why don't I want to go see Transformers? Is it a cartoon?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's a cartoon," and I thoroughly enjoyed it. That theater had like maybe 10 people in it, and it was one of the loudest like standing ovations I've ever heard with 10 people in that theater. It was a great movie. All I have to say is you know, there's an end credit scene, and, you know, spoilers, right? End credit scene, you know, we see, that's when I said, Megatron's like, well, we're rising to power. We're the Decepticons. And I was like, yeah, let's go. Let's Decepticons. They're cool designs, you know. As much as the Autobots are the good guys, Decepticons are so cool. And so, yeah, and it's like, I'm Megatron, you know, let us rise, you know, roll out, whatever. So, yeah, you see that. And I was like, when I saw that, I was like, shoot, all I got to say is the Joker 2, you better hang it up, because my next anticipated movie is Transformers 2. That's all I gotta say. The juice out.
Transformers are like a gift from God.